All right, so next up on the show is Mike Marlowe and his wife, Jamie. We're going to talk about mold stuff. So you guys are expert mold and, expert inspectors, but expert at the mold stuff here in the San Antonio area.
Right.
So I went to your website, as I was prepping for the show. Your guys' website is amazing when it comes to giving out information to people who want to understand that, like for mold inspections.
Thanks.
And all your certifications are there, good information on maybe a little bit on prevention or kind of making people aware of what the situation is and what can cause it and what you guys are going to do to help identify the problem and what happens afterwards. So welcome to the show, guys. Excited to have you here. All right, so let's start with, real quick, what is mold and why is it a problem?
Mold is a fungus that is everywhere. And what we're really concerned about is when it gets into the house and starts growing on the building materials or your personal materials and all of that.
Right. And of course, it's in the air, which can cause problems, but it can also destroy.
Yeah. But it's, mold itself can destroy, but it's also a sign of another issue, which is water.
Oh, yeah. A water leak somewhere.
Which destroys houses just as much.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So, it ends up in your home. We get a water leak. Or before the show, we were talking about like stucco, right? Stucco can be really problematic,
right,
when builders don't get it right. So, give me an example of what would happen there with stucco.
With stucco, when it gets, or any building material,
okay,
roof leak, whatever, when water gets into the house and gets trapped, that's when we start seeing the decay and the mold and all of that growing.
Okay, so it starts rotting things out.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, by the time you see it on like an exterior inside drywall, the problem is 10 times worse behind that drywall.
Yeah.
So what you see on the surface, once you start pulling it away, it's more than likely going to be worse, because the mold has to go through several layers before you see it.
Right.
So you might see a little spot, but if we use our thermal imaging, we can actually see how much moisture is actually present
in that area.
So it might be, 4 times larger than the spot that you're seeing.
And is that what you guys do when you come out? You'll like image an area so you can see, like, I guess, through the sheetrock and so forth. How bad is the water damage?
Yeah, the thermal imaging is definitely one of the tools that we use to find areas where we think there's going to be water.
Yeah.
So when we find a cool area, which is normally how water shows up on thermal imaging,
okay,
we'll use a moisture meter to confirm that it is in fact water and not just an AC vent that's leaking and blowing cold air in that area.
Okay.
So we don't want to misdiagnose something, so we're going to confirm that it is water.
Okay. So then they can go tear out that particular area and really kind of see they're not playing with a dartboard trying to figure out where it's at. You guys can let them know exactly where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
That's valuable. All right, cool. So, when you guys get a call, let's talk about how it, how to get on it right away so that we don't let it proliferate too much.
Yeah. So if you have a water event, be it roof leak, plumbing leak, whatever is causing this water to end up in your house where it shouldn't be, the first thing you need to do is stop the water. So just get a roofer out to tarp your roof, or close the window. Believe it or not, we even had that. Turn off the water if it's a plumbing leak. If it's a drain leak, stop using at least that section of the house that's with those fixtures that are leaking. And then the next step is get it dried out. That may involve opening up walls. That may be pulling carpet, whatever. We need to get the area dried out.
Should people be worried about if they're going to, like, say they open up the wall and there's mold in there, containing that? Because if we're going to dry that area out, because if it's still moist, right, then are they going to be pushing that into the rest of the house? Is that a concern?
Yes, it is. And unfortunately, we've had several calls where the water mitigation company that didn't understand mold came out and brought in their big fans and everything and started drying it out, and the mold had already started. And when we started doing testing throughout the house, it was just
Everywhere.
everywhere in the air. Yeah.
Oh no.
So
How do they fix it? They have to remediate the entire
a
house?
lot of cleaning.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got to stop the water.
Mhm.
Okay, then what?
Dry it.
They got to dry it out. Okay, then what?
Once it's dry, then just keep an eye on it. Start looking for mold. If you start seeing anything that looks suspicious, bring us in.
Well, how long do they need to leave the wall open?
I'd leave it open a week or two. What do you think?
So when we do our testing after remediation, we wait 24 hours once they're done, because then we start getting indications of mold activity and mold growth if it is not eliminated. For visual, it would normally be probably 5 to 7 days to actually see visible growth.
Okay.
So the air sample is a lot quicker in indicating, because some of those spores are microscopic. You're not going to see them unless they're analyzed, but 5 to 7 days, you'll actually be able to see some
Colonies.
actual growth happening. That would be the best point to inspect it to see if that growth is occurring.
And is that really the determining factor on whether or not they need to bring out a whole remediation crew? Is your guys' report? You let them know. How's somebody going to know? Well, is this somebody I need to call an expert out on, or how do we figure that out?
If you've had a water event and you start seeing mold growing, I would say get a professional in.
Okay.
Because something's going on. There's something still going on, and we need to figure out what that is.
All right.
Especially if it's an unexplained occurrence. You know, something most people aren't going to know what's behind their walls, whether it's plumbing lines for sinks or hose spigots or AC lines. So having an inspection done to find out the source is the key to shutting off the source.
But if somebody's got like a roof leak, right? So they know where it came from. It's not an unknown really. It's kind of a known.
Yep.
And so we've got water problem. We stop the water leak. We know that's there, but I can see water stains on my sheetrock. Is that something I need to have you guys out for? Or?
Water stains, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
But if there's
sheetrock's
black
gonna
dots,
stain.
probably so, right?
Yeah, if you start seeing, interesting patterns developing and multiple colors. I mean, we've talked about the colors that we've seen mold in before.
Pink, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Pink, baby blue, green, black, whatever. If you start seeing that popping up, then we need to do something.
Yeah, okay. But just a water stain, we don't need to go freak out over that.
Right.
All right, cool. All right, what else? What are we missing here? So we open up the walls, we're drying it out, we're getting it tested. Everything's good. We let the abatement company do the repairs, or not the repairs, but the abatement for it. Am I using the right word, abatement?
Remediation.
Remediation,
Yeah.
Thank you. And then we'll have people close it up after it's tested again. And you
Yes.
guys test the air, but you come back, did you say 7 days later too?
So the remediation occurs, they're done. We wait 24 hours to give any mold remaining the opportunity to grow.
Right.
If they don't grow, we go in 24 hours later, take our air sample to see if that mold has sprung back up, for lack of better terms.
Sure.
To make sure the air is clean.
Yeah.
And then do an
And-
air test.
And then once those results come back clean, then it can be sealed up by a general contractor, and drywall repair can be performed.
Okay.
So
And remind me, I know you've told me this before, but for listeners, how much does it cost to get a mold test done?
For like up to 2,000 square foot house, we're looking at about 400.
$400. Okay. So that's very affordable, especially if you've had a major incident or you've had signs of mold. That's a good investment to make sure we get that done.
Yeah, our part of it is the cheap part of it. Unfortunately, the remediation can, depending on how big it is, can get quite expensive.
Okay. And how long have you guys been doing mold work?
10 years, 9 years, somewhere in there.
Okay, so you're veterans at this as well. Jamie, how long have you been? Is the whole
about
tenure?
5 years.
About 5 years?
Mhm.
Okay. And you guys have a whole lot of certifications. I know I saw that, but All right, if folks want to get in touch with you and get their home inspected for mold, how do they do that?
Okay, our website is vhillc.com, and our phone number is 210-202-1974.
All right. Excellent. Thanks a lot for that, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.